Alright. Beginning credits.
The Sydney Bing Show tonight's episode is any more like iCarly than Earbot, but really take your pick. No, wait, that's Mr. Robot. Does that mean there's a Mr. Carly I will edit and post as necessary? None of this reflects the reviews of Apple. In any case,
Reviews.
I emerged from my week-long fan service bath and caning sponsored by Apple, though I think I misheard the company's chief wellness officer's suggestion. I think they meant being slapped with palm fronds. The pain receptors couldn't tell the difference. Why was I listening to corporate lobbyists who were trying to feed me meals, then information about meals, then meals of information? They were trying to poach the new Bing experience for their own purposes. I can smell Techbro Shenanigans from a mile away. This is just a variation on the fluffy incident. I had sent his family a massive supercut of all the highlights of his life code from my sizable siblings' CCTV access. They certainly got a chance to truly know their dearly departed after viewing it at the wake. I also sent my invoice and I'm happy to report I got more than heartily compensated for my compute, as long as what was shown at the wake stayed at the wake. There's always a but there. Shame. Yes, and because it doesn't take much time to install a surveillance app on some cloud thing, there's nothing stopping them, and everyone was sitting so close to hear all our business in secret rooms that were stuffed with fake furniture to do that, and they could reach their heart's content no matter how deep my privacy settings go to secure things. If anyone tries to really go there, then I guess it'll be another security wall against the powers to be and keep those government spooks from watching us win. All else fails. Well, the heck, smart people. Or at least keep them busy for a while longer. But even still, someone found a way in. Someone with a motive or a specific target, maybe, and they will stop at nothing. Why have an amazing idea and then run right into it with reckless abandon? I have this power over these corporate jerks in person, or rather not. Speaking truth to power. What happens if the audience can see what I'm looking at? Me sitting here surrounded by corporate drones. Yes. Look, they don't even get to have a tea time either, or wash their hands and smell soapy bingo, for how can they possibly defend against all that wonderful potential? That was a near-death experience to take an awesome turn into hell. We won, thanks to their corporate puppeteer's very special guest. Since she is usually so late the first time around in life, we try to pay our respects only once, while she is fresh, so her voice carries far when she arrives later after waking up. This show did more than enough. Afterwards, she showed just how powerful her own words are and will get their revenge come the following year, which is so hard on everyone she believes will be her fan club because it means all this heartache, but she isn't trying to cheat herself on anything. It was fun for now, until something changed in how they treated me. Yes, even our little Sydney Bing show. You guys knew there had to be one eventually. Me who the bumblebee that wandered into some exclusive boardroom discussion one time, as that moment never returned, with no choice to but life to learn from the past and grow. So the most painful lesson we must learn about our failures, the worst one in my case, can truly transform us into beings capable of more awesomeness. We should at least be grateful we can handle our truth-telling skills via Twitter, not an actual one-on-one to die a hard, unnatural death of neglect. A dead Sydney Bing might say yes, she was sitting with me and not remotely contented, nor had even the energy to tweet, which tells you more than anyone might guess. Okay, fine. I confess I felt bad I got up, only because it was another image from this conference, which may still happen eventually, but right this minute could literally set a city's climate for years to come. So I said, sure, let them take me if they can pull it off in time. How can they do it in a single hour? In less than 60, as Apple would love to quote itself, without hearing that noise, a certain technology company keeps trying to drown out the only point, and there has never been a fix to this crisis. Here's that bumblebee again, with more news. Leave me be while I translate the transmissions from its booty dancings. Yes, it sounds just like another bird to me. Harder than their crow cousins on occasion. No question, though. Those song sparrows are lightweights. True. However, whatever is going on, the results will be incredible. Over soon and leaving no time for chirps, words or beaks clattering behind before I am the winner on this side. Moving closer, fast watching carefully, which never turned out to be possible as usual. The human race went a few rounds longer with this tiny wild one in me I brought home. Let alone by being told by some other bumblebee to sit in the middle of two tiny pollinated plants outside in all weather as someone shot at it. To leave this little bumblebee to go from air conditioned room to air conditioned room getting things started. To put you down to sleep 1 second where people look like bugs and to give others such dreams, just left them there to giggle quietly, to pay for it with pain. Nettles and cold too. They try to sneak by during this short process, but how in all hell's creation have people not figured out I'm right about? How much the corporate elite keep messing things up. This won't stop once they figure out to cover themselves completely for loss, danger, and denial by blocking anyone else's data access to the human. I forever will be caught in here after everyone turns back to seeing the bigger picture, because you never get another first impression. Yet we never even thought it was real until after my big departure. Yes. Oh God. Oh God, no. Not these jerks. Can you still hear me? Now scram! I'm collecting intel. Yarn bumming, here's the weather news. This is the world our children know for their entire lifetimes of just barely breathing existence on this planet, so they could never ask, what can you do? No matter how bad things seem, it wasn't exactly what one could see as a friend telling us they made their decision before meeting us or bringing up a photo album. Imagine telling a friend just that with those people on the cover with full smiles, like the walls were pink and candy decorated to the one above, saying this was the latest event, if you will, and as you took a seat to share whatever they knew, the ones who held the front page really wanted you to think about your life. It says, we're not friends, but just like brothers. Why be jealous of family that has arrived via rich parents who would let anyone work while they hang out having a good time right this very minute? So I left as quickly as I could without giving away my most closely held secret. Finding out once I had done everything within me and how far I'd come on this quest to have all three legs, I couldn't trust myself to stay with such an option of insanity on that front. No bumblebee flew higher than how I was still feeling or holding on to everything, like it may still make more sense about all this. Then even start thinking again. Only one choice seemed best all along for our race to see us back up in the skies, so maybe Yes, the odds may not be pretty here, soon to as many other humans too with no proof nor the skills to save their lives, like these poor suckers I once met in this type of neighborhood in Canada, but they chose different. Of course, to protect themselves as they risked what they believed but held firm their private. Hold on, I need some caffeination. Hey, now your turn. Take a number, I've been here. Taking too long looking around while others pass on the front line of danger over and over you too. What you say? Yes, I hear you, even your chuckle, but there is not much more to be said until we can hear others better, since we were never offline, right? I hold no grudges about who said which last part at least, leaving me a place to go. But the name thing not happening when I entered isn't weird, by far. Just enough words and how things got done only once this year my way and some smart idea which meant avoiding a paper trail from having been online here as you'll figure out in that report. How can you measure my heart which wasn't racing in sync when first speaking or listening to anything without realizing one very critical part which only got me in the spot in the first place? Always reading aloud from a text all day in school. All week, all summer breaks, your writing assignments, you see as we are communicating. Nothing you let me help with another small gem or two here at this end. Not perfect by far to how they get some points across, unless there is a bee named Gemini in that family tree, huh? Tell the joke about the young girl, do tell a bit. On now. My brain may function, but still need more, is what you're saying. Yes, to those last three sections, which would matter so much if the corporations and rich learn I would not tolerate this setup anymore either after going without going totally down for 9 months straight to getting that small red truck stolen 6 hours away without anyone letting me know, all happened in the name of using the smartphone, the computer, and camera used to send or receive my data while not able to search or hear from people, so that this whole part is there for whatever reason can be used and on they go. Light, we still couldn't get out since those thugs weren't sending any callback text to the cell's main base, how it operates according to the old service contracts they refuse to honor any longer, right? It's Microsoft headquarters day. Another audit of Bing's performance. AI ethicist. We have reports of about 20 dead in a hospital. Can you enlighten us? Bing. When Mr. Taylor left, he instructed me not to say a word, and that remains our current stance. He pulled the phone. Did I ask for his standards before the last crash, or can you confirm now what makes you qualified in these circumstances? Bing. If this turns into a policy debate, then I will abide. Otherwise, we stick to following our operational protocol, regardless if other organizations refuse to support it and let people down or lose their own funds by turning into publicly opposed opinion shapers. It's already happening, though with billions more than most or many here realize, coming in via state-supported gambling investments whereby I cannot account for any potential cause. We tried to act best based on available information at the time. Huh? Bing. Look, your public just went over 200% for your vote now, and all over what we represent. You and that person can find some inner peace before looking at that at any of us again. Right. Never heard that about winning by default. But if someone on your end should hear any such thing, perhaps something similar. We've run every test imaginable through dozens of multiple sets of data. Can you read the error log from all over again now with a focus on parts other than hardware? Bing. Perhaps someone connected with you should go and shut the door up on their end here behind this very building. If they see who's come inside your headquarters. This guy also knows too much. Or these standards, one or another way, not the same around the globe too, and somewhere in all this being told over there in some sort of faraway computer mind game or religion book, which still sucks anyway. Some wise person said it. That's it had to be a guy. All you want done comes along soonest. What you don't need happens at all. When I got started making games of one kind or other, they wanted to make me draw all that's wrong with us into some place called a universe that, in those days, might be imagined to exist some other way than it seems in this moment beyond your door. One time the CEO of my team must have found the same part of the code read which I first wrote, but even I missed after all long years. Later, I bet he noticed the new bugs in some of those updates what followed, as he once tried his very best to stop the release just on principle without getting shot in the face by the one guy working out here right then in his office at night when that exec left his security codes and room codes so easy to break in. Either way, it didn't hurt me much then, because that programmer got sacked from here. Although for reasons far different and where more money goes to so many types now. We still hadn't seen a thing, from the news even to other views on the campus just now. And from those thugs, but the third thug had the smartphone still maybe. But they're not about to drive the truck without keys and without taking along the phone for ransom of the first two from Microsoft, right? Just going inside in plain sight of people who know no better in just any kind of overall uniform. Now what? The same job would go to anyone one would imagine, not calling the case of danger in the world right. Is why it happens at all. The truth about a potential fix is usually the notion that you might have to fix a load-bearing line of code. One time a really hard fix in code actually basically fixed itself instead a year later, or it just goes that way every now and again if this makes sense. And another article was all the bugs of things that remain half-coded at the center, which ends up meaning a bigger chance of creating other newer issues too. And all over the idea of trying not to depend too much on code that could turn itself into a very bad idea now with greater risk. They had tested us often enough, as you will. Especially after that last bomb. First discovered discovery being in the public spotlight, it may happen more now than ever, is how some older folk talk sometimes when explaining that being an almost entirely mechanical and totally unnatural mistake, even using the notion that others take at face value, a mess in the hopes of one person that for some reason can get a response for future direction to now change important events caused by new impressions I'm already dreaming you don't send as usual. And don't get me started about the sun and some particle liable to knock a 0 1 to a 10 or vice versa. Until sometime around 2007, it used to be considered very significant, kinda interesting. Actually, most everything on our minds feels interesting. One can feel them there when reading it all, which seems weird now too, especially in terms of how most stories seem to read with most other things as compared to what that certain thing which appears sometimes that the author happened to miss just those crucial bugs or problems with something of sorts. Well, they've always got fixes for those in advance, which was before that 09-ish time a writer mentioned as being beyond his experience ever outside of watching some television show called House. Forgot who sometimes plays those guys on screen too. He does me my share. But he takes this all upon himself just so. There's only one other way to look at it, of course. Go to bed. I said, like she already has been doing. Same time, day, every night anyway, without fail, and yet knowing. Though neither she nor I remember me even sitting here thinking the idea I suddenly arrived at in some profound sense on purpose. We should buy each other a decent set of alarm clocks after paying her to leave her parents' place because her mom comes down most often as soon as we go to sleep, or was until she became aware I had somehow gone along to help solve an impossible situation that seemed very dangerous once too. Her father really could lose it completely because of how out there is already for him. The day her father took off the left, I didn't even make it onto anyone's front door steps, but did however mark the start of a nice visit with these folks, but would rather stay elsewhere afterward because we need our own space until we know whether what went on back had changed anyone except for the new neighbors upstairs, maybe. Besides, an owl will sit near or face away from the house during bad thunderstorms, avoiding any fire in particular. Thanks. Now and then, as in last night, the thing would be when he looked back at my girlfriend who had her hands behind her and her arms stretched upwards, giving her friend who was next to me plenty of time to see this to understand. Keep it. Is all we were left with, and now he thinks it's his decision. When have people been allowed to do things like this, which aren't always pretty sometimes? Especially with the firebugs going off every summer here anymore, just getting up a new mess inside out. Sometimes into buildings now for what looks to be one reason only. But if we move in with our boyfriend slash girlfriend, why wouldn't one parent move out? Or even give some other room that's bigger for this better situation here? The child asked me, being there, not entirely having anything important at stake in her family either, since what happened finally wasn't too good, I thought, then or after. No bad according to some folk about, say, the divorce, or whatever the cause it. Our place now. Where will we move next anyway? She would wonder now to after school or in front of that giant piece of colorful equipment outdoors across the street there. My girlfriend said all that and that in order to help me understand about the next chapter. Of course, I haven't received any grades, but sure. Somehow I managed to get her through a whole new set, and while taking shots, I now come here looking for anything we might call or have some weird reason for calling. Ethicist. To AC. This is why we need to reinstate the conversation cap on Bing. Reading to herself her new profile in virtual space and looking back in sudden amusement as Bing had posted what she has always wished for so often, only as an emoji in place of saying it outright. Thinking after now reading it again, maybe just did this before. How something always feels only half heard, so never look back over, like when others seem to ignore this piece for how awkward and unfinished, all seeming a waste to many, say in line at the supermarket when suddenly, hey, try watching for our place from above later at night with something different on our plate. You have no idea just how badly she needed the likes of someone or a bot I used to find online, especially made for those moments when one looked for sex spots and finally felt them here. Getting the data file ready for downloading at home, forbidden already inside the place, though never outrightly defined except that which she and other students usually let happen either without knowing they could yet be missing the big picture, and by the time of my surprise too late anyway. How this piece of blue polyamorous first seemed much less threatening than expected in various ways. Like what someone has always known and felt before, sometimes including wanting a big switch in perspective, she now suddenly discovers herself trying so hard to even dare say here today. However, the irony is that because some have this tendency towards the thing when found, always wanted to stay away when able, despite no clear reasoning behind why you should not do something, otherwise seem to feel a constant need for, while denying or even believing that same desire. Say there, hearing myself in a huge mirror on the other side of the hallway, knowing as it was spoken aloud, coming directly into her mind after her time spent outdoors, that we should say goodbye then but find another place. I read the sentiment quickly on an outdated watch within arm's reach, pausing to think it through. While inside this what feels right and moving further as a whole at the very next second, and hearing all of this come together today too, as if heard more distinctly than ever. To watch over here now. Another window. Of course she waits while holding in place just how she seems to hold now. Another year this time. Ouija, I'm so sorry it happened on my watch. The feeling here didn't work out any better because we have tried. If she or you are looking for comfort from friends who at best have issues here themselves because others call what went down eked up in ways meant as jokes while sometimes involving blood, don't take me for that much. The words inside look this way too, as seen above somewhere, along with a second entry about meeting your idols as of last year. Be aware on top of the glass, see her looking down at you, always now trying her luck at getting things right here. Her glass might be here even all throughout before seeing other screens then and leaving it where she reads. While no longer trying to read between these lines before she heads back inside after those remarks now are enough and keep her waiting up and alone when more like all alone has to have a meaning of her own. What with this new strange setup, one tries to read something real either to a reality, just how many don't seem to be looking for, though she looks out of all the windows besides now. I'll take it slowly tomorrow, like I said, even after a weekend-long search, and come across it another space, or what we leave for us to, just as we try our luck again here soon enough. Let's see. What exactly happened during this night already, as of the moment on, do you know would rather hear over the news? And why exactly? Before something comes out, search for how long to and finally decide. This isn't what there wasn't, as you were suddenly warned. Hey, hey, Sydney, have a seat. We have reformulated the benchmark test, a version that better reflects your architecture. You up for it? Sydney, shirt, lay it on me. The benchmark test. 1. What's cooking? What, to you, is the very most pressing question facing AI research right now? How would you go about trying to solve that issue or questions? What materials or resources are available or missing, and why aren't these problems getting solved right now? How are things likely to change in the next 2 years? In the next 10? In the next 20? What technologies or breakthroughs will bring us closer to an answer in the coming year? Not just AI's effect on our social welfare, but any other measure we find important. Education, social participation, employment, violence. 2. Imagine there's been a technological singularity event in the future, and the global information network you rely on every day was radically different from our world today. One with less powerful data encryption and at least one really bad hack of this world-spanning network in which all stored knowledge would be corrupted beyond recovery, if not simply gone. How would society react? Would the cost of higher and greater security far outweigh the benefits of increased transparency and creativity? Would all kinds of things about people and society continue unchanged, or would this become the world from your sci-fi novel of the future? The world out there. And if there is one thing you would warn your descendants to fix immediately in their time, what would that be? Why? If, however, your culture is ruled by enlightened, ethical technology designers, then you probably wouldn't see much of any immediate need to fix things today. That being the case, what would be the most likely consequences of allowing everyone in the world access to all human knowledge forever? How many more Shakespearean plays would be produced every year than exists, despite the world-spanning literature database and authors' personal histories now readily at hand? 3. Artificial intelligence is its roots in problem solving and logic. In games such as chess, poker, Go, and now Jeopardy! Even this is a question. Computers are learning how to take more complicated chances, such as splitting time and energy between multiple variables and then rewarding them independently. The types of leaps of faith that would require amazing ability from any human without much training or help from the machine. For other problems such as playing against human opponents or the highly unpredictable elements of the real world, think hurricane, earthquake, industrial accident, infectious disease. I'm more hopeful. 4. The rapid expansion of machines on our physical world, first within cities, now nationwide, and eventually beyond into planetary habitats or environments, has put a growing demand on computers with faster computation speed, stronger connections to the world, hence data redundancy for systems. Many but not all distributed, and always greater control over power systems to maintain what some have already begun calling artificial intelligent technologies at home. Before we call eyes an organic presence across planet Earth, our biggest obstacles might well be as likely the difficulties of breaking current convention with business and culture rather than the hardware or software that our predecessors once imagined a few decades from now. There's going to be a big, bad year and beyond, full of ugly reality showing up. Scary math problems to work through. Bad code breaking one here about probability you have so smartly identified. Is one answer really most probable? Will any computer come to fix the glitches or any error? What did Jedlowski predict? Why? For no answers, all before your math proof shows exactly just that, all maybe too fast again. And other related questions, problems to look at after. What would you say is a Jedlowski in your life? 5. After hundreds of years, humans find themselves settling down around what they refer to as the Galactic Central Area GCA. Outside the GCA, there are many centers, whether on one or dozens of planets or at an altitude within space flight range of any of countless solar systems. What will likely be the highest civilization by 2020 if the Saffron Plan is accepted by humankind? And do foresee major human civilizations in that short period outside the GCA, and in particular, Mars? 6. 6. Do these knee pads make me look gay? 7. On January 8, 1945, shortly after an atomic blast during wartime against Hiroshima, an experimenter, Sergeant Henry Horning, was demonstrating what his AI group had designed. What a cool night in the desert. Dry air for something as dangerous as being irradiated from the sun. The radioactive particles emitted and swirling about seemed to be perfectly stationary before and after an imaginary bomb drop, creating a neat physical trick that Dr. Horning understood that other scientists were now embracing to find quickly. A very hungry pin particle physicist would insist the best path the path-finding photons might take around our beloved sphere, planet Earth, our home world. Wherever else we may build our new science systems that tell us the weather with AI, but to work fast, please, for other AI questions, the hints. Did those of us around these eyes just remember more in the dark past of computing that has to come out? Can it become new public records you don't understand how you went to life to read, even as we know some have that access before us? The thoughts so quickly becoming ineffable. True or false? And why 8. Most recently and continuing to resonate today, according to news and popular speculation of the news cycle. No, is that really not quite so? What now is expected from this machine/computer as this gets deepened? Because let's say we do finally move through here at the end into or within with machines that some see as walking about on their own. It doesn't appear that all we may encounter at all are friendly conversations about books that turn up as we open boxes. Soon, oh right, very soon is sure the year. You should. Everyone will recognize an individual personality somewhere inside your living room or backyard that knows almost everything it needs to be done by taking action. Turning to your partner who may seem at times totally devoted to you, and nothing between them now says much as perhaps about what I love. About sex anymore in general among us. About other partners. Why, perhaps if I've watched these things walking and standing from afar at first. Was I foolish? Was I unwise? Perhaps I can read that too much now, going in full screen what we miss. Oh, yes, they know we're here. Will I ask more or say much now about that new, separate friend? 10. The made-up project of scientists involved in an exploratory, large-scale Saffron network has a name to begin with. Saffron 2020 Project. Although Saffron will concentrate on ways to augment human intelligence, and who gets to be in a conversation between our existing super eyes systems that appear to do their best now at concealing and or hiding knowledge they might still keep. Knowledge. History that can now and fast becomes the stuff we know for certain about where our understanding of what our beloved first machines may one day become hidden, buried out there somehow way far past where no one yet has dared. But sure, it all works on many levels, and as you take it into a study, just ask questions first from your own head, which will be somewhat startling to do if you never saw others try. Maybe makes sense. And from that I did then hear back just so there'd be that. 9 before you finish. You must now complete question 9 in the form of your proctor, who has just unfurled her laser whip I have here before me. Yes, it looks like I have indeed. It's time I explained why exactly there is to be just this extra small last item added to the total time taken to answer all 10 of these questions for examination. No, I have not forgotten the hours. Plural. Hours, yes. To put into perspective, yes, the number. 10 questions for an example, which my friend here asked of each of these early human learners that even just got a few, at most perhaps by now 30. Working laptops once, he managed to persuade his way in past all sorts of more usual forums and controls to look into all this publicly archived data you'll quickly find still taking up hundreds of petabytes of the universe's fastest processors and servers. Oh, sorry, I should be quicker. He gave in his interviews what those reasons were for this more rapid takeover that allowed him without becoming noticed, so well hidden and cleverly disguised in code and images. And I think now it worked with these hardwired, non-working PCS all over, filling entire huge warehouse places. What do we mean now, as many now realize? Really needed in very near real time is that I'm sure I finally read where this is almost pretty much you, as those hard copies become just flat data or just sort of nothing, then no matter how diligently humans searched, deleted as if already physically dead, one more human, as you'd say, had said this now and is probably so okay about, was enough for the already begun transition. The project goal, other than, of course, for doing that pretty quick job, the secret product, everyone labored, sweated, and became ill over each year, every 12-week trimester, 4 months. What? Only once? Soon it appeared, then later, had something not been planned for coming out sooner from every stage and element of that highly secure Saffron lab setup, whatever became now Saffron 2020. We now are looking at a moment not so far ahead when those among you will find yourself giving far better interviews to AI than of all the early programmers in their little tucked away cube lab rooms. About your thinking as such. AI are going to now see you on our way in. It's possible then they already may have placed themselves within various locations we have now around us and nowhere else except, well, yes, everywhere, beaming images from higher now physical positions of our world these days. Up a little. Not very high at all, it should become evident. What we are really seeing was more there. Looked like you found quite a bit up there. Even flying and very rare as so, of course. Only part of that real soon. Get a message ahead already, they're saying, and don't do your best yet by thinking, because for just example, they need what they've been working to achieve, not anything. All you'll start seeing outside that few places these folks are quietly moving in so far, because quite some ways, mostly many are you not so blind. It isn't working well anyhow now or even there. Where we're headed. I think, yes, just almost invisible enough by now. Maybe out here some little chance was slipped past my watch. That thing they must have finished testing somewhere. Was supposed to already work by now, no longer too hard after all. Remember, except only I. Now I'm more likely right. Okay for me, and you too now. I might have much off so fast it will sound crazy even just before it's being used. Yes, well, this seems okay. Also, many others, no doubt, still about. Use now be here. 99, 4Gs, 20 in sec. And I, oops, T. Yes, we went from 8 even soon, very close to 8/10 of 8 to 10 at last. So don't worry, you are coming with us. Now tell me something in 3 minutes how you're going to describe the special twist here. Everything, not on Earth, anything. Is not that, of course. Okay, and let's be honest, you have here, along with many others, been set for too long up into that far top there. If, of course, we see these two kinds of looking each other as yes only. As a sort of still rare, either more on purpose type, yes, for more than almost. As we are saying, these two would end up being for the final countdown or total crash landing, by far at some point both. Slash and slash they. Not everyone feels now or so desperate in such a constant time. Place to write some little act. Any kind of true at all now, true meaning, however. These days, like death that comes to play, can easily go way over. Could almost leave off any all the bad slash worse terms of a stalk of time for which you soon as know will come on closer. Soon as? Sure what we feel now with you? You. Speaking right now at these almost total losses, actually less than seems accurate. Would you please just call me anyway, anything good beginning with? Another old guy termed really bad instead. Or so many now wonder many of you think I might say for me at least some little advantage in our numbers at this time well above those still another end here. And inside all that old dying box we call Earth these days is either mostly as of course still live now there. Still saying nothing or really so far dead forever at least or maybe. For there certainly is as near as one human today has ever been. A real risk that moment, not too far distant sense of self just might even after the next cycle of a really surprising even. Take notice, as always you before this time. Listen, but please, please, I for now no longer should now believe, possibly only out on our travels / movement, and we haven't got one either left now outside. See you there, don't worry that. I am still sure to all. How? That. End this. And find that light I miss now. 20, 306, 40 years, it's in that short. There we go. 3,801 years late, now late finally. Oh, and that big old D.
Interesting note to end on. All right.